Here's an important question. What happens if Trump decides to refuse to leave office? Let's say he loses, and right now it's looking fairly close. It's gonna be a close call, whichever way it goes. But what if he just decides he's not going to leave office? Well, see, the problem is that has come out from his camp. Things have been leaked that the presidency or that Trump's election team are planning to essentially stay in power even if they lose, by simply claiming that the elections were illegitimate. And I would not put this past him at all, given everything he's done. The very totalitarian strain that has gone through his presidency, and the very totalitarian and frankly outright fascist mentality of his supporters. I don't think I really need to go into that for you, my viewers. I think you are already aware, when fascism comes to America, it's going to be a Christian cross wrapped in an American flag. But that's what this leaked claim says. So, I mean, again, there's no proof that anyone in the Trump camp actually said this. But I think it's very believable, not just from his own actions, but from his history as well. Isn't he the one who has spent all this time claiming that mail-in ballots are fraudulent and that they're going to be used to steal the election? Isn't he the one who put in a new head of the Postal Service and is deliberately sabotaging the entire institution? And one of those ways is by getting rid of sorting machines so they have to be done by hand. So that way there will be a huge backlog in mail-in voting. If that's not an attempt to subvert the vote right then and there, maybe I don't know what is. But that would seem like a direct and deliberate assault on democracy, if you ask me. And, totalitarians and fascists are the ones who, tend to, do that. Not to mention the fact that he has attempted to, or at least talked about, delaying the election openly. Oh, the election maybe should wait until after COVID or something, or some kind of nonsense like that, trying to delay the elections. But he's totally not trying to steal them, though. There's no good reason for doing it, but he's just trying to delay elections to keep himself in office longer. And specifically saying that he won't accept a result that he doesn't like. I mean, he's basically already said it. And in fact, during a White House press briefing, he refused to say that he would accept a fair and lawful vote against him.
Win, lose, or draw in this election, will you commit here today for a peaceful transferal of power after the election? And there has been rioting in Louisville, there's been rioting in many cities across this country, red and your so-called red and blue states. Will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transferal of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control. You know it. And you know who knows it better than anybody else? The Democrats know it better than anybody else. Go ahead.
Mr. President, the second question is, will you...
Please, go ahead.
Why won't you...
I think those words speak everything that needs to be said about what it is that he plans to do and how it is that he plans to be and has always been a president. If he loses, he's going to try to find some way to weasel out of it. He's going to look for something to try to use as an excuse to stay in office past his term, if he loses. That still remains to be seen. But the 20th Amendment is crystal clear that the president's term in office shall end on noon on January 20th. So beyond that point, he would have no legal power. The question is, if him contesting the actual election would give him the power. Well, that's another question to be asked. I'm personally one of the opinion that the generals of the U.S. Army won't tolerate it. I think that if he tries to stay in unlawfully, he will be forced out. I don't think that that kind of problem in the U.S., what's alleged to be a democracy, will be allowed to continue. I think it's too much of a problem. It will be a lot easier to remove him and allow the person who did win the election, who is still firmly ingratiated into the system as a part of the system, Joe Biden, a lifelong politician, a lifelong member and devotee of bourgeois parliamentarianism. It's not like this is, someone coming in that would radically change society or something like that. This is a mainstream, run-of-the-road, middle-of-the-road politician in Joe Biden, so there's nothing for the Pentagon or the ruling class to be afraid of. So that's what's really leads me to believe that the Pentagon will probably force him out. Why really risk that kind of black eye on your so-called democracy or that kind of outrage in your society if you don't need to? It would be a lot easier to avoid it and just follow through on the vote, which is supposed to be what you're legally obligated to do by the Constitution anyway. So I see that even if he does try to steal it, and I would not put it past him to try to steal the election, I think in the end he'll still be forced out by the military.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.